A few years ago, I noticed that more people go to restaurants than go to churches. So I started imagining what would it look like if we created an experience that included most of the elements of a traditional worship service, but felt like a pop-up restaurant. And so, after a lot of work and a lot of experimentation and creativity, we came up with a 2-hour model of gathering that involves teaching, intentional conversation, food, an invitation to communion at the end, and most importantly, the entire experience is incredibly enjoyable. What happens is when participants come in, there's a gathering time of about 15 minutes. They are invited to sit at tables of about 6. And then what starts is a themed meal that goes for 3 courses. And everything's related to each other. So the theme dictates the food, and the theme dictates the reflections and the questions. And so while they're eating something, they're hearing somebody talk about it and talk about spiritual connections to it, and then they get a discussion question for the table. So there are 3 discussion questions throughout the evening that get increasingly vulnerable. At the very end of the night, we do a wrap-up. We have an optional invitation to communion, and then we bless everyone and invite them to come back the next time. The model works really well to get people to talk to each other. And I've seen it work for small groups to get them to know each other better. I've seen it work for Sunday school classes or fellowship groups. I know one class that is using the model as a way of inviting their new members to get to know the church community as a whole. Where we have decided to implement gastrochurch is we've decided to take this model and to place it in the community between the church and the world to create a space where people can belong before they believe and belong even without believing. The goal of gastrochurch, the way we're implementing it, is to create a space where everyone is welcome at the table no matter what their worldview. And in this space, people of deep faith, people of no faith, people of deeply discipled Christians, and everyone in between can sit at the tables and talk about their souls and listen to other people's stories, and through that develop relationships that they otherwise wouldn't have had. Whether that's what you're trying to do or whether you're trying to simply get people to talk to each other, the gastrochurch model might be something that can work for you. On this page, you'll see the resources that we've developed that are useful for getting people to sit around a table, talk about their souls, and so develop relationships that they otherwise wouldn't have developed. We offer them here in case they're useful to you in whatever you might be doing in your ministry.